And we are back, Crystal and Kaley, with sippy cups and sanity checks.
Hey.
So this topic we are going to talk about is social media, fact or fiction.
Yes, debunking all those social media trends online that could potentially be harmful to your little ones.
Yes, yeah. And so just to recap, we did talk a little bit last week more about feeding infants, breastfeeding to formula feeding. And so today, let's get into social media, fact or fiction. All right, first question, Kaley.
Chamomile tea bags, okay? If you put them on your breasts, will
what?
will your milk supply increase?
Yeah, any tea bag. Put it on your breast and it will increase. No, that is fiction. So no, it actually poses more risk than benefit. So what is going to increase your milk supply? Moms, I am going to give you the secret today. This is the secret. Frequent feedings 10 times a day in the first 2 months. That is 10 to 12 times a day if you're really fighting for it. That 12 times a day. But breast milk is a supply and demand, meaning if you exit the milk from your breast more frequently and efficiently, you are going to get more of a supply. So that is the secret. And also both breast at each feed and a proper latch to help efficiently empty. There you go. Problem solved.
Now it looks like we're done. Mic drop. We don't have to talk about anything else now. Just kidding.
I will say this. There's been so much out there with the chamomile tea bags. That being said, anything that reduces stress on a mom sometimes is going to help increase that supply. So more sleep, more spa days, everything. Anything that reduces your stress.
I have a question,
Yes.
Crystal.
As you raise your hand.
Yes.
Kaley in the back.
Thank you. That's me. Okay. Exercise.
Just making sure we're recording. Okay.
Exercise. Does that actually decline your milk supply because of like you overexerting yourself and putting extra stress on your body?
Depends on what you feel about exercise.
We have a love-hate relationship over here. Okay, Crystal.
No, exercise. So getting your body moving in general is going to get that blood flowing. Also, it's really good for your brain mentally. It does. Yeah. It reduces that. It initially can increase your cortisol. Initially with the exertion, right? But long-term wise, that is going to reduce the mental load.
Release those feel-good hormones.
All right. Next one. Go ahead.
Okay. We're talking about weaning.
Weaning, yes.
Weaning. So, word on the street is you can put this green antiseptic, I don't know why I said antiseptic dye on your nip naps. And
Nip naps.
and that will deter your baby from latching. And that is how you wean off your little one when you're done.
So normally, I'm going to say no to this. So fiction. To get your baby off the breast, if they are extremely attached, doing something that is not going to dye your kid's mouth, but also not harm your nipples. So even like putting lemon on your nipples, make sure you don't have a cut or something that's going to make it burn, spread to a rash. There's lots of things out there of what moms do. So if you have the willpower, just say no and put a bottle or a passy or some other form of feeding in their mouth, or a toy, chewing toy, teether, not a chewing toy like a dog.
Let's get your chew toy out.
But no to the green dye on the nipples.
What you're telling me is that those families that are living in a multi-generational household do not listen to your grandmas about telling you to do this. So upon further research, we're not pulling this out of nowhere. It was a popular method during Soviet occupation because it was a cheap and seemingly effective method. It has since been passed down as a folk remedy. There's not scientific facts to back up the efficacy of using the green dye.
Yes.
Also known as Zelyanka.
Perfect.
I am trying to save some time. I would like to pump and put my parts in the fridge rather than cleaning them. Or I don't have the ability to clean them right now. And I heard I could do the fridge hack.
Fridge hack.
Feedings.
Now, can you explain what the fridge hack is so our listeners would know if they haven't heard this on social media before?
Yeah, so the fridge hack is taking your pump parts after using them, and instead of cleaning them with hot soapy water, you just put them in a plastic Ziploc bag and throw them in the fridge.
Okay. So I will say this, per the CDC and in general, per the CDC, if unable to clean and you're too tired or you don't have the availability maybe at work, if you are pumping at work, then please at least rinse with warm water and wipe with a clean paper towel. You can place it in a sealed bag for just a few hours to slow any bacterial growth. But this does not prevent bacterial growth from happening. So infants younger than 2 months, premature infants, immunocompromised should be cleaned per the guidelines after every pump. Again, whether it's placed in a seal bag, your backpack, your Gucci bag that you got from the baby shower, it is still likely going to grow some bacterial growth. So infants have become ill from the bacterial growth on pump parts. So harmful germs can grow on the residue too. Just keep that in mind. But the CDC has great hygiene practices if you are considering this. So please just go to the breast pump kit clean, and they have those instructions on there as well.
Alrighty.
All right, next.
Cabbage leaves. Can I put cabbage leaves on my nipples to soothe them, to help with engorgement, and for weaning?
You definitely can.
Yeah?
If you're growing a garden, need to get rid of some cabbage leaves, want to do it for fun, that's fine. But in general, that's not any better than using soft cold compresses. But it's not recommended anymore. So what's best to do is a slow wean to prevent mastitis is the biggest thing. And how you do that can look different for every mom. It can be a 2-day process. It can be a 2-week process. But just making sure, again, breasts are a supply and demand kind of deal with the breast milk. So if you want to wean, then you use them less. Yeah, not recommended anymore.
Alrighty. Okay.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah. I have a question about knockout bottles. I saw on the internet that if you want your baby to sleep through the night,
yeah, go ahead.
Give them knockout bottles. A knockout bottle, if you haven't heard, is mixing milk or formula with rice cereal in their bottle and giving it to them before bed.
So all I heard was knockout bottles originally to get them to sleep, and I'm like literally thinking people are saying knock out your child with a bottle. I wouldn't be surprised if some trend was out there. Okay, so rice cereal. Still safe to do in moderation when you are feeding your baby with a spoon and rice cereal. It is not safe to do in a bottle for many reasons. But there have been no studies that have shown that rice cereal is going to help your baby sleep more. Let's talk about sleep in general for kids really quickly. So, for infants, I should say. They should not be sleeping through the night when they are preemies, when they are newborns. They need to be waking every 2 to 3 hours to feed efficiently. Now, talking to your primary care provider, if they are growing and doing well developmentally, it is safe to go by an ad lib, meaning they feed when they are hungry, so you get up to feed them. And that looks different for all different babies, so that will be talking to your primary care provider. In regards to getting your child to sleep more, I want your child to wake up to eat when they are hungry. Again, depending on the age, I am not talking about your 8-year-old that is sneaking food in their room at night at midnight, 2 a.m. Not the case. But also what has been seen is when you're adding rice cereal to their bottles, you're actually increasing their caloric intake. So they're having an excessive amount of caloric intake that's probably not needed for them. That increases their risk of childhood obesity, overweight. So they're also being exposed to probably a higher amount of rice cereal than what you would normally give to them when they are starting solids. So that may expose them to inorganic arsenic, which in general can increase neurotoxicity, can increase risk for cancer, and can increase like your respiratory infections, your allergies. So please limit the rice cereal and offering it with variety of grains, because that in general can help when you transition them to solids, but do not do it for sleep, calling the knockout bottles.
Also, is there not an increased risk for aspiration?
Yes, depending on the child, yes. Yep. Yeah. But we do, so aspiration is completely different, especially if we're dealing with someone who has had a feeding study. They do different types of thickeners for that, but that needs to be evaluated by a speech pathologist with a feeding study. So, all right, next.
All righty. Our next one is fluoride. Fluoride in toothpaste. Mm-hmm. It's toxic. It's bad for my child, and we should not use fluoride to brush our teeth. True or false? Fact or fiction?
So I'm going to answer by saying this. If we drink an over excess of water, is that toxic? 100%. Mm-hmm. So it's not about the component. It is about the excess that becomes the toxicity. So again, the amount becomes the toxicity, not the component. That being said, fluoride has been studied. It is safe. It is very safe. But again, that's why we have those little charts to tell us how much a baby or toddler or child should be getting. And it should be a grain of rice, and then it should be pea-sized as well. So those amounts we are talking are not toxic to your child. They are actually going to prevent many, many cavities and gum disease and hopefully cardiovascular risk when they're older if they were to ever get that gum disease. But it's discussing the risk and benefits of fluoride, and I am all for the fluoride.
So don't let your child eat an entire tube of toothpaste.
Mm-hmm. Poison control.
There you go. Fluoride. Safe for brushing teeth and for its intended use.
Yes.
Okay. Now, word on the street is that amber teething necklaces stop teething pain and are safe for use.
And I don't know if I do believe this is more of a cultural aspect. But I will say this. I see them as more of a choking hazard than a helpful, beneficial pain problem. Some parents will say they got so much better with these teething necklaces for pain. They got so much better by sleeping at night and their pain got better. Like, correlation doesn't mean causation. I will say this. I do not recommend amber necklaces around any child's neck because of the risk of suffocation. So that being said, it is not safe. And if your child is experiencing any sort of unbearable pain where they're starting to refuse to eat because of the pain, please talk to the primary care provider because there may be something else going on.
And I have one more.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
So turning away from amber necklaces, going into another fear-mongering term that I've seen on the internet, dry drowning. Some people want to start their child in swimming lessons, but they are afraid of dry drowning. So they are not putting their child in swimming lessons for fear that
that's so sad.
they will dry drown.
I highly recommend swim lessons. Just to get your kid used to the water, learn those practices, but also learn about swim safety. Gates up around a pool, making sure that you're aware and you're watching your child whenever around a pool. It is a natural fear of mine because I see so many drownings. But I would say this, there's not such thing as dry drowning. So if your kid swallowed some water at a local pool party and they had no other signs or symptoms, they're okay. They're not going to have a dry drowning episode within the next few hours to overnight.
This is actually something I asked Crystal about when we were considering putting my son in swim lessons because it was the thing for moms to talk about on TikTok was dry drowning. And I was so afraid that if we put he was 4 months old at the time, in survival swim lessons, that in the middle of the night, he would drown. For dry drowning. And it's not funny. I'm nervous laughing.
I know. I know that one well. No, and it's so heartbreaking to hear that this fear is out there that they're doing to parents because swimming is such a good, safe, cool skill to learn. And I feel like we don't need to fear these things. These are good skills, but unfortunately, drowning is a horrible thing. And it happens more frequently to kids than it should. But I think the best thing you can do as a parent, if you are concerned about drowning, is make sure you're just taking the safety precautions you need when you are around a pool, paying attention to your child, not getting distracted, making sure that they're not running around the pool area, make sure they have a life jacket, and doing these things that is protecting your child. All right. We are done for today. Yeah. That was a good fun one. If you guys want more of the social media fact or fictions, please let us know. Or if you come up with any other questions or concerns that you're seeing on the internet of some sort or social media, we would be happy to hear it and talk about it. And if you want more of the statistics on it too, I can increase that knowledge base. Let me know.
Yeah, leave your review, comment, and share with a friend.
Perfect. Crystal and Kaley out.
Peace.